NSYNC is trying to finalize their tour, but they cannot get a commitment from JT. Does he owe it to them? The guys from NSYNC have all done pretty well for themselves, but it's not a secret. Obviously, one guy has gone on to be a megastar. The problem is they all came up together. They all put in their work. They were all hustling, working hard for years and years and years and years. They hit it big. They become world famous, and then JT becomes a megastar. The problem is now with JT is he won't sign on. He won't agree to the tour for NSYNC, so that's holding them up because, you know, now there's speculation they're going to go ahead with the tour anyways without him. And will it be a successful tour? I think it will. I think it will. But will it be the same without him? No, of course not. And everyone knows that. I mean, I think that if you're a fan of NSYNC, will you go see the band? Maybe, but he's by far the biggest draw. He's probably a good 60% of the draw of that tour. And even though people say, hey, he makes his own choice. If he doesn't want to do it, he doesn't have to do it, or he can demand more money or whatever he might do. Personally, I think that's crappy, and personally, I think he owes it to his bandmates to go on tour. Now, you can argue that, and feel free to leave it in the comment, and people will say, hey, you know what? He's got his own thing. He's got a family. He sold his music catalog. He's probably semi-retired or almost retired now, even though he's young. But he doesn't have to work, and he doesn't have to go on the tour and all the craziness of the tour and all the hard work of the tour and everything that it takes. But personally, I think that in that industry, you sign up for something, and especially when you get involved in a band. So you have multiple guys in a band. You're in it with those guys, and that's what you signed up for. So he was lucky. He broke out and he got big, and he got huge famous. He made a ton of money, sold his catalog. He's done extremely well for himself. He's in the top 1%. There's no question about that. But I think he does owe something to those guys who he came up with, because what if he wasn't the one who got big? What if it was one of the other guys? How would he feel if it was flipped? And of course, he's got his choice. He doesn't have to do it. You know, there's nothing to write. He doesn't have to do it. But why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? Because if he's already made his money, he's already accomplished everything he wants to, then he can go on that tour and not have the pressures that he would have if he was that he probably had when he was coming out as a solo artist, when he was just on his way up, where you have all that pressure. He doesn't have that pressure now, so he can go and he can go and just kind of show up, do his thing, and then get out of there. But I feel like he owes it to the other guys, because they've always supported him along the way, and they've never said anything bad about him or called him out on anything. And don't get me wrong, there's little things that have been said over the years, but I'm talking about like major things. It's not like they turn their back on him or anything like that. But this, you can look at him turning his back on them, and I don't think that's cool. I don't think that's cool at all, because these guys came up together. And they came up as a band together, and they became extremely successful. I mean, they were probably the biggest. I know everyone says boy band, you know, the '90s, but I mean, they were really one of the biggest bands of the '90s. I mean, I don't know that you can name anyone that was bigger than them, you know, in the late '90s, early 2000s. And of course, people are going to say Backstreet Boys, but I don't think it was quite what NSYNC was, even though they were huge too. Don't get me wrong, but after he's done so well for himself, and don't make the mistake that luck plays a big part of that too. Now, of course, he's got talent, and of course he had to work hard for it, and he had to make the right connections. He had to do the right thing. But don't make the mistake that luck doesn't also play a part in him getting the opportunities. And people can say, well, luck played a part in him getting pushed forward. Well, I'm not going to comment on that, because I don't know if I believe all the rumors that people will say about that. You can have your own opinion. I have my opinion. I don't know. But then again, look who was look at who was the creator of NSYNC was Lou Pearlman, and we know his past, and it was not a good past. And I was going to say rumors, but a lot of the stuff wasn't even Well, with Lou Pearlman, there was not rumors, but I'm talking about the stuff that involved NSYNC, that involved Justin Timberlake. You can't just say rumors, because there's stuff that was talked about that are not rumors, because they address things that were very inappropriate, and which is just it's sad that was part of the music business, and I would imagine it probably still is. But being that he did so well for himself, you would think that he would say, okay, you know what, I'm going to go on this tour, and maybe just promise them, so many show dates or whatever it might be. But he made it big. He got his money. So why not help the other guys get their money? Because they were all in it together. They all came up together, and it was him that happened to be the big breakout star. What if it was one of the other guys? He'd probably want them to go on tour, but Justin Timberlake is made everything about himself, and obviously with his recent DUI, I don't know if he's really in that great of a place, and could that be a one-off mistake? And of course that's a mistake people make, and it's no big deal. I mean, that stuff happens. People make mistakes, and you can't take and say, okay, well, he's a horrible person because of this. But maybe you could. Maybe this shows his character and shows what he's about, and it's all about him, and he's all about himself, and if it doesn't serve him, he doesn't care. And maybe he's going to demand more. Maybe he's doing this to be able to demand more money, which personally I think is kind of crappy, but that's unfortunately that's how business works, and that's how especially showbiz works.